Welcome back to Mr. C's Biology in our Science Skills section. Today we're talking about how to use different variables. So we have three different variables that we need to know about. We have independent variables, dependent variables, and we have control variables. And we'll need to know what these variables are and give some examples for them in an experiment. So firstly, what are they? The independent variable we can remember because it begins with an I, and this is the one that I change. So in an experiment, we're going to be changing something. That might be moving a lamp closer or further away to a plant. That might be putting your quadrat down in different places. That might be adding different foods to a same chemical test. We're always going to be changing something. The dependent is the one that we measure. So it might be that we're measuring how long it takes for you to do 50 star jumps, or it might be that we're measuring the amount of time it takes for some starch to be broken down into glucose. But our dependent variable is always the thing that we're measuring. And our control variable is the one that stays the same, that we keep the same throughout all of the experiment. So if we take our photosynthesis experiment as an example, we're going to have our plant set up and we're watching the bubbles that come from it, and we're going to be changing something and seeing how that changes the bubbles. So the thing that we're measuring is actually the amount of bubbles that the plant releases, because that's the thing that we're counting, that's the thing we're measuring in this case. So our dependent variable is the amount of bubbles, and that's going to be representative of the rate of photosynthesis. The independent variable might be the lamp that we're moving closer or further away from the plant, or it might be something to do with the temperature that we're changing of the plant, or it might be something else. But in this case, it might be the light intensity that's changing as we move the plant further or closer away. And finally, we're going to keep something the same. If we're doing an experiment on a living organism, an easy control variable that we can use is we always want to use the same species. So we don't want to do two experiments where we have a plant with a lamp and it's 15 centimeters away, and then we're moving it further away and counting the number of bubbles. But this time we're using a different species of plant. That wouldn't really work. So keeping the same species, but we also want to keep other things that might affect the experiment the same. So if we're changing the light intensity, we want to keep the temperature the same, because we know that temperature can affect photosynthesis. So if we keep these things the same, then when we change the one thing, then we see something that we can measure. That's it for variables today. As ever, if you have any questions, pop them in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.